10,000 deaths. That's how many people lose their lives each year due to speeding-related car crashes. In 2012 alone, 10,219 people lost their lives. Speed plays a factor in 1/3 of all automobile fatalities. Today, I hope to persuade you all to drive slower and to spread awareness of the dangers of driving over the speed limit. I'd like to begin by explaining to you why speeding is such an often overlooked issue that needs to be resolved. The NHTCA defines a crash as speed-related if the driver was charged with speeding-related offense or if an officer indicated that racing, driving too fast for conditions, or exceeding this posted speed limit contributed to the crash. I want to show you why this is such an important issue. It is significant because speed is the third contributing factor to crashes, behind only distracted driving and intoxicated driving. Each year, it costs Americans over $40 billion in expenses from the crashes and fatalities. This is relevant to people in Ohio because Ohio is actually the 8th highest state in numbers of fatalities each year from speed-related crashes, behind Texas, California, Pennsylvania, North Carolina, Illinois, Florida, and New York. Now, going back to the cause of this, a lot of people don't see speeding as wrong, and some of these reasons can be that they're in a rush, they're not paying attention to their driving, they don't think the laws apply to them, they think that driving over the speed limit isn't dangerous, and they don't think that they'll get caught. However, none of these reasons are actually true because speed is one of the, as I mentioned before, one of the largest factors contributing to deaths in automobile crashes. The population that's most at risk are male drivers between the ages of 15 and 20. I felt that this was a very relevant statistic, seeing as I know that most of the people in the community right now, because we're on a college campus, are within this age range, and I think that it's very relevant because this is the demographic that it affects the most. Now, this problem is a dire one, and if it isn't solved, it can lead to many more lives being lost unnecessarily. I would like to get into how this issue can begin to be resolved. One of the things that we can do to satisfy this need is to decrease speed limits on highways and non-interstate roads. We can also improve safety features on roads, such as adding rumble strips, speed bumps, making the pavement skid resistant, and putting in place guarded medians. It's also very important that we aim to separate pedestrians and cyclists from cars, because the chance of a pedestrian or cyclist dying from being hit by a motorized vehicle, especially when they're going over the speed limit, is incredibly high. Some of the things that we might be able to do as well are implement speed cameras as a better method of enforcement for speed limits, and also to heighten driver awareness by informing them of the risks to themselves and others. Other ways to improve enforcement efforts include higher fines for speeding tickets, even though they're already very high, as the average cost of a speeding ticket is $150, and also make sure that we have visible automatic enforcement put in place. Another thing that has been found to be very effective is to have visible speed limits and have them be adjusted due to weather conditions. This would help decrease the amount of crashes due to snow, ice, or heavy rainfall. One of the things that you can do is to contact your legislature. This will help to get these things put in place. Helping to raise awareness and trying to get the legislature involved and laws put in place will help prevent many lives from being lost. Now, this Well, by lowering speeds, it leads to giving you more room to stop, as well as lower costs, which I went over about, like, you won't be paying as high fines and speeding tickets if you don't get them. And actually, if you go every 5 miles per hour over 60 miles per hour that you drive, costs you an extra 24 cents per gallon at the pump. So you're costing yourself money every time that you drive that fast. So slowing down will save you and American society as well. One of the trends that we saw back in the American history is between the 1970s and 1990s. In the 1970s, they lowered the speed limits on interstate highways significantly, and the car crash fatality rates followed the same trend and decreased significantly. But in the 1980s, they returned the speeds to their original levels and continued to increase them in the 1990s, and the death rates went up just right along with it. Another thing that could be a cost if we don't implement lower speed limits and better enforcement is that speeding often leads to more risky behaviors. It was shown that many people who speed when they drive also end up driving under the influence and often don't wear seatbelts either, which ends up leading to even more chances of deaths, because the more risky factors you add on to each other, the worse chance you'll have of survival. Another thing that we've seen in recent history is that speeding-related fatalities increased between 2011 and 2012, and the trend is only going to go upwards if people don't change their methods of driving. This issue is a big one, but it's one that we can easily turn around for the better. I would like to call on all of you and call you all forward to take actions to bring this issue to a close. Some of the things that you can do include contacting your legislature. Youngstown City Council is located right in the area. You can send them a letter writing your concerns. They're located at 26 South Phelps Street in Youngstown, Ohio. And another person that you could possibly contact is your U.S. Congressman for the Southeast and Eastern Ohio regions, including Mahoning County, Bill Johnson, and these are some of the possible legislators that you could contact to try to get speed limits decreased or some of these safety features put into roads. And you just slow down when you drive. And many people's lives can be spared when you do this, and just each person that follows the speed limit is another step closer to decreasing the fatality rates. So drive slower, ask your peers to drive slower, and thank you.